So you want to post a bounty to Replit. Let's take this tutorial to go through the process of setting up, posting, and managing your bounty experience. Bounties on Replit are an amazing way to get code done for a reasonable price from a huge market of professionals and enthusiasts. It's great for people with entrepreneurial ideas and a limited understanding of coding, as well as people that have a great understanding of coding but just don't have the time to build everything. In fact, there are hundreds of uses for bounties, from people that just want something explained to them to people that want to build entire startups. Speaking of that, during this tutorial we'll be talking to Jack. Now, Jack is the founder of magicprints, a startup that was built entirely using Replit bounties.
Hey everyone, I'm Jack Levine. I am a full-time music industry marketer. On the side, I like to pursue creative entrepreneurial ideas, which is what led me to the Replit Bounties program. All right, Magicprints is merchandise design powered by artificial intelligence. I think it's an obvious play as soon as these generative AI artwork started coming to the market. You know, I saw that these products were really expanding people's creativity, and you know, someone who maybe before didn't have the ability to draw what they were conjuring up in their mind now had that ability and freedom of expression. So Magicprints was resolving that issue of having to go to a million different places and creating a one-stop shop where people can go create an idea and build it into a product A to Z in one stop.
So Jack, what made you interested in bounties?
The team had reached out to let me know about the Bounties program, and that, you know, hey, this is something we're really interested in doing and testing out, and do you have any creative ideas you've ever wanted to explore? And, you know, of course, earlier this year, this idea I'd sort of conjured up in my mind, and I said, you know what, I'm never going to do this. This is going to sit here as an idea on my Apple notepad for years and years, and 3 years from now some successful person will have done this idea and I'll be regretting having not done it. So why don't I just spend a little money and save some time and let someone else who knows what they're doing take care of business. Yeah, I think, look, the most valuable asset is time, and I think me being a full-time employee at a job that is really my priority, I don't have the time during the day to focus on something like this. So for me to be able to outsource that work and tap into Replit's community of really fantastic, talented developers was ultimately, those were the two biggest benefits of the Bounties program is time and just the ability to access Replit's network of talented individuals.
So how do we get started? Well, first of all, go to the Bounties page on Replit and click Create a Bounty. And you're presented with this dialog box. Give your bounty a descriptive title and a target completion date. These are important because this lets our army of bounty hunters know really what you want and what the time frame is to see if they can commit to it. It's important to be realistic about this time frame as well. Code takes a while to build, and especially the bigger your project is, the longer it's going to take. Of course, this can be discussed with your successful bounty hunter later on as well. Communication method is important as well. This will be the primary way you expect your bounty hunter to get in touch with you. Email or Discord are the two options at the moment. Select the one you most like to use and add in the contact details that you'd like to use for this bounty. Then it's the job of writing your problem and your acceptance criteria. This is a big job because you really have to think about what you want to achieve and what would be an acceptable outcome for the REPL that you're given at the end. Let's go to Jack and see how he created his application.
Yeah, look, I didn't give it much thought. There hadn't been many other bounty postings to look at, but I think You think about it like any other project you've done, and I think set your expectations. Be clear and concise when writing the bounty post. Use bullet points. Set metrics. I think that's probably the most important one. What is the end game that declares this bounty done? For me, it's I want to do a test order of a magic print shipped to my house. I want to be able to receive a payment through the website. So I think having that one metric is as this is the finish line is probably super helpful to the bounty hunter and just helpful for you. And set your expectations and be patient.
So it's important that we're as detailed as possible and as thorough as possible. No matter what your technical knowledge is, try and describe the problem that you're trying to solve and how you want to solve it in the best possible way you can. Acceptance criteria is what you'd expect to see in the final piece of code submitted in order for you to accept the bounty as completed. This needs to be as thorough as possible and ideally written in a format that's more like a checklist. You see in this example, I'm being quite specific by using smart targets and making sure that every aspect of the program I want has been covered. With this done, my next job is to decide on the bounty. Now I need to have enough cycles to be able to post the bounty because the way this system works is when I post it, the cycles are taken from my account and held until I release them when the bounty is complete. This means that there's no billing issues, and this is great for both you and the bounty hunter because there'll be no need to worry about potential billing issues, and the bounty hunter doesn't have to worry that any particular bounty doesn't have the funds behind it. This builds trust, but it might mean that you'll have to go and buy some cycles from the modal. I've got just over 5,000 cycles in my account, but if I increase that bounty over the amount I have the option to buy it straight there. The bounty marketplace fee at the moment is 10%, so you need to make sure you factor that into your calculations. It breaks everything down underneath to tell us exactly about how much we'll actually pay out to the successful bounty hunter. How do you price it? Because it's fair to say that the market will tell you whether you've priced something correctly or not. And normally, if you underprice something, you don't get any applicants. And we often then step in to talk to you and discuss that.
Yeah, the pricing, I base the amount based on past projects that I've worked on in my own industry. So it's probably going to be different for everyone based on your past experience and whether or not you've gone on some of these endeavors. For me, to build a basic splash page or even a website, I've paid between $500 and $1,000, so I could get their help on this project as we move forward.
Let's take some rules of thumb up front. The best developers on Replit are going to be attracted to bounties that are charged at around about 5,000 cycles per hour of work. Now it's really hard to estimate how many hours of work that could be, but you can do that roughly and multiply it by 5,000 as a rough idea about what you want to pay. It's also worth thinking about the type of bounty you're posting. If it's a bug fix and likely a very small piece of code, anything from 500 to 5,000 cycles might be a reasonable amount. If it's a big project or you're building an entire startup, you might be looking in the 100,000 to 500,000 cycles range to get an expert developer on board to build your startup out in the way you want. One good way to estimate this is to go onto the bounties page and use the sorting feature to look at bounties that are in progress or completed. Take a little look to see if anything is similar in scope to what you want and see the amount of cycles that was offered up as a bounty there. This will give you an idea about how much yours would be worth. Of course, if you're really serious about getting the best developer on board, it's important that you pay a fair amount. If you do find that you've posted a bounty where you've underestimated how much it would cost and you're not getting many applicants, then you can, of course, contact us to discuss it and have it changed, or you can edit your bounty directly and change that amount up to see if you get any more interest. Don't forget, other factors are in play as well, like the time of year you post the bounty, the time scale, and the technology stack you want to use. If you're very particular about using some esoteric programming language, you might find that quality developers are smaller in number, so you may need to increase the amount that you're trying to spend on a bounty to get the best developers. When you're happy with this, you click post and the bounty goes live. This is immediately visible to all bounty hunters on the bounty page and will be picked up by our automation systems and emailed to prolific bounty hunters. So eventually you'll start to see applications come in from different developers. And at some point you need to make a decision about which one you want to take on board. You can do this at any point in the bounty's lifecycle. If in the first hour somebody applies and you think they're the ideal candidate, you can immediately accept their application and get to work. You could leave it for a couple of days, but don't forget that that deadline you've imposed is always creeping closer. You get bounty applications from a wide variety of bounty hunters. So just how do you pick the best bounty hunter for the job?
Yeah, I think, of the 3 or 4 candidates, Ray seemed to stand out the most because of their various social media profiles and Replit profiles. And I think that's, when you're going on limited information, the 2-3 sentence blurb that you send back is not very telling of a human. So it's always, it's important to, I guess, for bounty hunters to have a good social media presence and brag about yourself a little every now and then, so that you have example projects. When a bounty poster is really digging in and looking at your LinkedIn, your Twitter, maybe your Replit profile, and seeing, hey, this person has done, similar projects, or maybe even not similar projects, but if this person can friggin' whip this up, then this will be no problem. So that's pretty much how my decision process went, and we went with Ray, and they and I are buddies, so they've done a fantastic job.
One of the ways that you can check on a bounty hunter's credentials is you can look at their Replit profile. Their usernames are there for you, and we can go directly to their Replit profile. And this is especially important if they've linked to it in their application. Go and have a look at the types of work they've done, and if you think it's adequate or interesting enough for you to give them a chance. When you've decided on a bounty hunter, click accept application, and you'll be given this third pane called discussion, where you can see a bounty has been opened and you'll have the contact details most appropriate for your bounty hunter. Get in contact with them straight away and book in a meeting to discuss them getting started, especially if it's a big project. Now, one of the most important things when you're posting a bounty and when a bounty hunter is working on it is to keep in regular contact. Now, please bear in mind that these bounty hunters are often freelancing and often keep schedules which are unusual. It's important to stay in contact in a synchronous or asynchronous way as much as possible to ensure that the bounty hunter is able to keep on top of and manage that bounty for you.
I think we're once a week. Both Ray and I have our full-time obligations, so it's a mutual understanding that this is a side hustle for both of us, and we're both very respectful of each other's time. So perhaps this has been a little bit more drawn out and a longer process than maybe another project where this is both people's full-time things. But we're probably on weeknights and weekends once a week.
Of course, if it's a small bounty, you might find that it's done in a couple of minutes or hours and you simply get a link and carry on. You are waiting on contact from your bounty hunter or the posting of a complete bounty, which all takes place in the discussion tab. If you need to edit your bounty at any time, you can click the edit bounty button and you'll see the options to edit. However, a lot of the edit options are not available to you once a bounty's been accepted because it's in progress. Once you've created a bounty, you can also cancel a bounty. Again, this functionality is not possible when a bounty's been accepted, but it is possible if your bounty hunter abandons it or if you haven't actually accepted any bounty hunters at all. Now, at some point, you'll get the best notification that your bounty hunter has submitted a solution. You can review this. There'll be some comments. There'll be a link to the REPL so we can view the work. Go and take a look go and contact your bounty hunter if you need a bit more help with getting it up and running. And then you've got two options. If it's not quite what you need, you can request changes. And in this example, I'm just asking for a very small thing. Keep this in mind though, the changes should be within the scope of the original post. It shouldn't suddenly include new things that you haven't talked about or haven't discussed. If you are happy with the work, you can click the Approve Work button, where all the rights to that code and that REPL are then transferred to you. The bounty hunter gets paid immediately from the balance that we've taken from you at the start and have kept in trust until this point. So the transaction is then completed. You can go back to this bounty at any time by clicking the My Bounties toggle on the Bounties page, finding your bounty and clicking the View Work button. Now, we understand things don't always go to plan. If that's the case, please do contact us with the contact information on the bounty page, and we can step in to try and help out. So Jack, what are your top tips for bounty posters?
Yeah, I think just hammering home what we've been saying the whole time. Just be clear, be concise, be straightforward, and use bullet points and summarize what you want very clearly. I think it can't hurt to give some personal background and your expectations. I think just having that transparency, and maybe that wasn't necessarily something that I put into the post, but it was certainly something Ray and I talked about when we first connected. Hey, this is what I do full time. This is my experience. That's where I stand. So, and so I don't be afraid to ask, questions or, explain this to me like I'm 5 years old and I don't understand. And Ray did a really great job of explaining things in layman's terms. So, I think that would be probably another tip that I would add on to, being clear and concise, straightforward, setting your goals, and also just giving some background on yourself and just setting expectations for the hunter so that you can both be on the same page as far as making sure they know what questions to ask you.
And what's next for you?
We're excited to continue to grow Magic Prints. Ray and I are still developing the site build and putting some finishing touches on this. The sign up list has grown to about 1,000 plus emails so far. So really exciting, organic, build on the back end. And, I think it's something that in 2023, I'm going to invest a little bit of my own money into continuing to grow and market and build and develop this. It's something in 2023 I hope to work with Ray on continually and, bring in perhaps a friend to help assist in areas where, Ray might not be able to, or to help just supplement Ray's efforts.
Why should somebody post a bounty?
Well, your ideas, everyone has great ideas, but not everyone can execute. And I think through the years, I've had so many ideas that have just sat there as notes on my notepad and, not really garnered any momentum. And I think, the people jokingly say sometimes the first step in any idea is buying a domain name. And I think, aside from that aspect of it, it's really building and putting some muscle behind it and getting cracking and rolling up your sleeves and getting into the weeds and getting dirty. And this is a fantastic way for someone who's non-technical to explore those ideas that, might not work and they might work. And, but you will have never known if they just sat there on your notepad and didn't get copied and pasted into Replit Bounties.
Well, all that's left is for you to start writing your first bounty. I suggest we do that here in this markdown window. I've outlined how you should set up your bounty application. Let's do a draft here together today. Start by explaining what the problem is and how you'd like it solved. In your acceptance criteria, make sure to use SMART targets and a bullet pointed list of things that you expect to be in the final product. Make a rough idea about how many hours of work this will be and multiply it by at least 5,000 cycles to work out the broad scale of how much you should be spending to get this problem solved. Then go post it, see what you get. We'd love to hear about your success stories. People have had concepts explained to them, bugs squashed, commercial enterprise software written for them, and even entire startups built using Bounties. Let's see what you can do.